Cool. We'll chat a little bit about James Maddison, and I have to say, firstly, on a slightly side topic, watching MNF throughout was brilliantly. And ordinarily, the game sort of gets in the way of the analysis, but I think the best part of Monday Night Football was post game and the interviews with Brendan Rodgers and James Maddison. Now, I'm not really sure where exactly this troublemaker thing is coming from. You might know a little bit more than I do, Sean, but it seemed that Gary had, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter or something, but he asked Brendan Rodgers. He seemed a bit surprised by that, and he was like, "Well, yeah, obviously you've seen his hair, you should see the cars he used to and the clothes he used to wear, but he settled down into a brilliant professional, brilliant young lad." And then Gary actually asked the same question to Maddison directly, which fair play to him for asking the tough questions. But we can get into Gary Neville on another day regarding Qatar and all the other stuff he's been doing, but I really was impressed with the way James Maddison spoke post game about being as disappointed being the England squad. And then you look at his performance and you think England don't really have that type of player that, he has probably the abilities Ward Prowse has from a set piece, but he can also stay in the middle, stay high. And I know they're not playing a number 10 at the moment, but for Leicester at times he's sort of playing from the left as well and interlinking with Harvey Barnes. So in my head, I can't really see a reason for Maddison not to be in the squad just because he's so different, and that's not to mention all the goals and assists, and I think he's second outside Harry Kane over the last couple of seasons. So, but leaving all that aside, I think the what he brings to a team is such a good option to have off the bench, and it's probably a similar conversation with Trent as well. So, what are your thoughts on James Maddison, the England squad? And one thing, when you always say, "Oh, this guy should be the England squad," who would you maybe bring out then? Because that's obviously Gareth Southgate has to think of that as well, where other football fans wouldn't be doing that, obviously.
Yeah, well, I think on Maddison and some of the probe and maybe Gary Neville was doing, like there was an incident I think where he was in an England squad and got sick when he was over. I think it might have been the Czech Republic game, and then he was spotted in a casino, and while England were still on duty. So I think there was a few issues in the past with James Maddison, but as you know, Dan, I don't think anyone's been a bigger fan of James Maddison for the last 4 or 5 years than me ever. I saw him a couple of times for Norwich when he was there, and he was absolutely outstanding. And then he made that move to Leicester, and a lot of people were kind of questioning it, but I think it was the perfect move for him at the time, and I think that was his 50th Leicester goal. He's been an outstanding player for them, but the reason Brendan Rodgers has got the best out of James Maddison is because he's almost built the whole team around him. And what I mean by that is you look at the midfield three that Leicester have traditionally played for a long time. It's been Ndidi, Tielemans and Maddison. So he's got the insurance policy in Ndidi, protecting the back four screen. And up until his injury a year or so ago, he was outstanding. He's been slow and been a little bit less effective ever since. But Leicester have had their issues at the back as well. And Youri Tielemans and Maddison are kind of linked in how they work on the pitch. So for the reason Maddison is so successful for Leicester is the amount of times he can get the ball sort of between the centre half and the midfield of the opposition. But to get that, it's kind of the hardest pass to play in football, that one that beats the midfield two and allows Maddison to say turn on goal and play a pass in the final third. So if you watch Tielemans and Maddison, the amount of times that the ball will go from Tielemans into Maddison's feet, and Leicester can go forward and attack it with real danger. So I think if he plays for England don't naturally have that kind of number 8 or that midfielder, that whatever you want to call it, that can play those passes through the line, those quick passes to quicken up the play. And again, that's maybe another element as to why Gareth Southgate is playing the 5 at the back. He it's such a difficult ball to play, and you can get hurt on a counter attack or in transition if you misplace it.
And just on that, Sean, with the, so obviously England don't play that way, but like you see something, in fairness, Arteta didn't have this before, but something he's done quite well is have that plan B now for when Arsenal are chasing a game. Southgate's got to be thinking, if I need a goal, and sometimes it is as simple as that, I need a goal. This guy is an attacking player, but he's also well capable of scoring in and around the edge of the box. And you saw the way he kept them. M&F did a great job of showing the way he stays in the middle and gets that shot away or can pop a pass. So off the bench then. So I think the formation thing, yes, I agree. And that's probably ultimately why he's not in the squad. But you've got to also be thinking of those last 30 minutes, and particularly given the fact you can make 5 substitutions now across all codes of football.
No, I'd have Maddison there, and I think it is a 26-man World Cup squad now, so you've got those 3 extra players. they've kind of relaxed the rules. I think it's all around the congestion of games. And I no doubt have Maddison there for his set pieces. But also just like, and as in Brendan Rodgers touching on his natural idea, and when things are going against it, he still wants the ball. He'll still take the ball. He'll still look to create, and he's always done that when he was kind of playing alongside Wes Hoolahan at Norwich, or even you look at him in Leicester's poor run. He's still been the one that's kind of driving the team forward, and he's at that age now where he is mature, and he's still got his good years ahead of him as well. And I'd no doubt have him in the England squad. He's also Irish qualified, so I'm sure if Gareth Southgate doesn't want him, I think he'd be absolutely perfect for Stephen Kenny's plans. But I think he is a little bit different to anything England have. I think the closest is maybe a Mason Mount. The way Grealish and Foden, because they play under Guardiola, they're a little more on the wing, a bit more on the side. Saka's turned himself into a right winger. And there is probably that traditional number 10 position, even though England don't play it, that is normally the role. If they do play a 4-3-3, would be the role of Mount. And I definitely think Maddison will be in the squad as sort of a backup to Mason Mount. And again, someone to bring on off the bench late in the game, which are 5 subs to create. But he's a brilliant player, James Maddison. He's one of that. Like, even as I follow him on Instagram, he's great. He's great. Kind of value for everything. Big darts fan, loves the sport. Plays
big football fan, like they was mentioned, football man.
But he plays football the right way and comes out and expresses himself. And he's got so much quality, right foot and left foot. And again, he's probably been one of them when Leicester were 5th in the league. They finished out 2 years in a row. He was probably going under the radar slightly, even though they were still finishing 5th. And there was a lot of link with him to go to Newcastle, and he could be exactly what Newcastle need, because again they've got when fit Bruno Guimaraes in that midfield, kind of linking the play nicely. But you do wonder, and he was a lot of links with joining Arsenal at one stage. Obviously, Arsenal elected for Martin Odegaard. But Maddison is a sensational player, but I think he's one of them who suits the team being built around him almost, and it's not something he'll get at England, but he's definitely valued to bring off the bench. There's no doubt about that.
Well, you ultimately always see the best out of 10s when the team's built around them, like Odegaard at Arsenal. That didn't happen overnight. At times he wasn't great last season, but the team is literally built around Martin Odegaard at the moment, and it's the same, I guess, with James Maddison. So you can see some of the reasons why Southgate doesn't have him in the starting lineup. You can say the same things about Trent, but to not be in the squad, I think it. Look, sometimes a performance like that, I know it shouldn't be judged on one performance at home to Nottingham Forest, but I think given how big a game was for Leicester and the spotlight it was on Monday Night Football, you'd assume he's probably going to make the squad. So, fine. Anything else said on James Maddison, Sean? You're just a big fan. You think he should be in the squad?
Yeah, no, but again, he has to keep going on this, and trying to force his way into the squad, because Southgate is a little bit rigid, and he doesn't like a little. He's one of them. He probably doesn't want change. He doesn't want different characters into the group. But Maddison is again, like, it just shows you the talent England have. That Maddison will get most squads around Europe and around a lot of the World Cup squads. So he's an exceptional player.
No, he is for sure, and we wish him best luck. Hope he makes